Hey, what's good, everybody? So, I'm just doing this quick video, right quick, man. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add this to my like BoomBox talk episodes playlist. I'm gonna go ahead and consider this another addition to my BoomBox talk like episodes that I've been doing recently. It's been a while since I've done one, so I thought I would go ahead and cover this. Usually I usually don't really talk about a lot of pop culture news and things of that nature because I usually find it to be very redundant, and also for the most part I usually don't pay attention to a lot of that stuff. But I really got to get this off of my chest, man, and I wanted to talk about the Chris Rock special, Selective Outrage. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I haven't sat down and watched the whole entire special. I was trying to save that for a day that I'm off from work, that I could really sit down and watch it, where I had more free time. But I did want to focus on the clips that I've seen where Chris Rock addresses, the Oscar slap that he received from Will Smith last year. So what I really wanted to address was the fact that I'm really finding it hard to understand why so many people think that Chris Rock was wrong for what he said in that special. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Because the way I see it, Chris Rock had every right to address that situation. He was the one that got humiliated on that stage last year over a harmless joke. And it's like Chris said in that particular bit, that whole year, so many people were saying way worse things about Will and Jada, but yet Will gets up and slaps Chris Rock on Oscars night over a harmless G.I. Jane joke. Now, we all know that there was a lot of underlying things that went into that. The whole entanglement controversy. Will and Jada having this PR interview tour when they wanted to talk about it to everybody, which it got to the point where people did not really care anymore, and they didn't really want to hear about it anymore. But it's just that was a very embarrassing moment, in my opinion. And Chris Rock was humiliated in front of so many people, and the fact that he addresses it in this special, and you got so many people being critical of him for doing that, it's just mind-boggling to me, because he was humiliated. He has every right to address that situation. And then you got a lot of people, and these people, I know these people are the Will and Jada worshipers. These are the people that look at Will and Jada like they're the perfect couple and so forth and all that. They just blindly follow anything that Will and Jada do. I know that these are those type of people that are really being so critical of that special. They're saying stuff like I saw one comment somebody made about saying, why is Chris still talking about this? This was a year ago. He needs to move on and let it go. Well, first of all, this is the first time that Chris Rock has ever openly addressed that slap. He went all of last year with not really saying much about it. When he went on that tour, people that attended those shows said that he didn't really say much about it. He would take little subliminal jabs here and there throughout the shows, but he never fully addressed the situation like he did in this special. So for anybody saying that, oh, it's a year, he needs to move on, what are you talking about? He hasn't even really talked about it. This is the first time that he's openly expressed how he felt behind that. And I don't care if it was 2 years. That's the way I see it. I don't care if it was 2 years. It's his right to want to talk about it whenever he wants to. And that just goes to show how people don't understand comedy genius. People don't understand how all that plays into this. This is comic genius right here. And it's unfortunate that so many people don't understand that. I guess people have just been so brainwashed to this whole new PC type of comedy that's being forced upon us that they forgot what real, raw, uncut comedy is like. But another thing I wanted to address is there was a woman who tweeted something to the effect of, it was very hypocritical. She was basically saying, she was going at Chris Rock, and she was basically saying that he was disrespecting black women. There's a lot of people that saying that he's disrespecting black women, but she went on to say something about that. She basically said that Will Smith, rightfully so, had the right to get up on stage and slap Chris Rock. So she was applauding and praising Will Smith for what he did, but she was being critical of Will Smith addressing them on his platform on this special. She was trying to say that Chris Rock was being hypocritical for that last line where he said that my parents taught me not to fight in front of white people. There was a lot of people that was trying to criticize him for that line, saying, well, that's hypocritical because you're doing the same thing right now on this special. Which, that just goes to show you how slow some people are, how they really don't comprehend, how a lot of things just go over their head. First of all, let's address the whole thing about him disrespecting black women. He called Jada a B. He called her the B word, right? I don't think the B word is synonymous with black women. Firstly, from my experience, I've seen women of all races, of all ethnic backgrounds, get called that word. So let's just go ahead and get that out the way now. Just because he didn't call Jada the B word because she was a black woman, he called her the B word because of her character. You know, Chris has his own. Chris and Jada had their own beef dating back to that whole Oscar so white movement that she started because her husband didn't get nominated that year in the Oscars. It wasn't. Let me tell you something. Any of you who thought that whole Oscar so white movement was about there not being any black movies being nominated, you were fooled. You were fooled. That was about Will's movie Concussion not being nominated. But they tried to sugarcoat it and tried to play it up to make it seem like it was about the exclusion of any black films being nominated. But no, it was about Will's movie. Because I guarantee you, if his movie Concussion had been nominated, Jada wouldn't even started that whole Oscar so white thing. And it's no secret that the Oscars is racist anyway. I mean, come on, they're known for that. They have a history of racism. So that was no secret. But we all know that was the real reason behind that movement. She said something to the effect, because Chris was hosting that year. She said something to the effect about that he should quit and step down from the hosting duties of the Oscars that year. And Chris said no. He wasn't about to mess up. And this is not verbatim, but he told her no. He refused. He wasn't gonna mess up his bag just because her husband didn't get nominated, which is something he addresses in the special. That's where all this animosity, that's where all this really comes back to. And Chris did say some stuff. I can't quite remember the exact jokes, but he said some jokes back then about that pertaining to that whole issue. But that's where all this is coming from. And the fact that everybody thinks that Chris, well, not everybody, but so many people think that Chris is in the wrong for what he said, it just doesn't make any sense, because that's what comedy is about. You take your personal issues or things that you experience in your life and you use it for material. And that's what Chris done. But all this dating back to that whole Oscar so white thing, that's what the whole thing is about. So he wasn't attacking Jada Pinkett because she was a black woman by calling her the B word. He was just attacking Jada Pinkett, the person, her character. Because that's where all this stems from. That's where all this stems from. So that whole thing about him disrespecting black women, why y'all trying to turn this into like this woke racism scenario, man, or race scenario? That's not even what it was about. He was calling Jada Pinkett that because her character and the way that she moved, he felt exemplified that. And that's why he called her that. He also called Will that. He also called Will the B word too. Because what Will did, it was a sucker move. It was a sucker move. And we all saw that he was down there laughing when Chris made that G.I. Jane joke, until he looked over and seen Jada wasn't. And I've always felt that in between the camera cuts, that Jada might have leaned over and told him to go up there and handle that. I don't know for sure. But he was laughing at the joke. Most of everybody out there was laughing at that joke. It was a harmless joke. It wasn't nothing in poor taste, because if it was, it would have got that reaction. It would have got that type of reaction. But everybody just laughed. It was a harmless joke. But then Will decides to get up and slap Chris because of that. Makes no sense, right? But yet, Will rightfully so. And I want to talk about something else, man. I remember when this happened, how so many of y'all were talking about, man, Will did the right thing. Man, I stand with Will. Where was Will wrong? Listen, see, that just goes to show you how so many people out here are followers. Because most of y'all know that y'all didn't even think what Chris Rock said was that bad when he said it on stage. Y'all know, come on, just be honest with yourselves. You know that G.I. Jane joke was not that bad. So why are y'all trying to act like Will getting up and slapping him, that joke was worth Will Smith getting up and slapping him? All because of what was told after the fact. Jada Pinkett's alleged condition with alopecia and all of that, which a lot of people who actually suffer from alopecia have come out and actually said that they believe that Jada's lying about that, because she does not look like a person that really suffers from alopecia. And these are people that really suffer from alopecia that have come out and said that they don't believe that she actually has it. But all of a sudden now y'all want to change the tune when that stuff allegedly comes out, and now you want to say, yeah, man, if Chris had disrespected my wife like that, man, y'all wouldn't have did nothing, because you wouldn't even have thought it was that disrespectful. It was a harmless joke. So that just goes to show you how so many people out here are just bandwagons, and they just go along with the crowd. It's sad to see that people can't really think for themselves when it comes to these type of things. But you know, me, it's obvious where I stand on this. You know, I was glad to see Chris get that lick back. Somebody left a comment on the video I watched. I can't think of the name of the channel, but the gentleman, he was doing commentary on the special, on that particular part, and they left a comment on his video that I thought was really perfect. They said that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock physically, but Chris slapped Will intellectually. I think that's the perfect way to describe this whole situation, man, because you never want to tick off a comedian. You never want to make a comedian angry, especially a comedian as iconic and of a status as Chris Rock. You don't want to do that, because they're going to have that platform to just really go in on you. You're going to give them that fuel to get that platform to just really go in on you. And that's exactly what Chris Rock did. Part of me feels like he could have went harder. Part of me feels like he could have actually went harder. But I'm perfectly satisfied with what he did. If he doesn't say anything else about this, which I don't think he will. I think it's over and done with. I think the chapter's closed on it. I'm perfectly satisfied with what he did, man. Because when watching those clips, it really reminded me of like that real raw, uncut comedy that I grew up with in the 90s. That's what it reminded me of. I was like, whoa, Chris is going in. This is like, for a minute there, it just felt like watching like 1990s Chris Rock during that era. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like when he was going in. And I was glad. I was cheering him on. And I'm glad to see that there's a lot more people out here that are cheering Chris on and congratulating him for getting this out of his system. Because you could tell that he was really hurt behind this. You can tell that he had a lot of this bottled up for a year and was ready to get it out at the right moment. I mean, you can tell from the clips, man, because like he was kind of, because this was a live special. It was streamed live, unedited on Netflix, and you could tell at that moment that he was showing raw emotion, because he kind of messed up on some jokes from what I remember from one of the clips. He kind of messed up on some of the jokes because he was so passionate to want to get those to get his feelings out about those situations. So that was we were witnessing raw emotion. And I mean, he even kind of bigged up Will Smith. He talked about how he always rooted for him for years and everything. And so you can tell that when Will did that, that hurt him. But I find it funny because I just got through watching the video where apparently they've gotten some sources close to Will Smith have gotten like a response from him about the special. from what they said in the video, Will hasn't watched the special, but he's heard other people have told him what Chris Rock said, and he has said something to the effect that he's embarrassed and hurt. Oh, okay, yeah, you're embarrassed and hurt. Now you know how now you must know how Chris felt that whole entire year, right? And then he says something about Chris needs to move on and let it go. And I believe the source said that Will was upset that Netflix gave Chris a platform and he found it distasteful. That, to me, that is just the ultimate hypocrisy right there. So, let's talk about embarrassed and hurt. How do you think Chris felt when you got up on stage and slapped him in front of everybody? Don't you think that was embarrassing and hurtful to him? I mean, apparently y'all are friends. Y'all were supposed to have been friends. Oh, but now you're embarrassed and hurt. You got him and slapped that man in front of a bunch of people, millions of people. Everybody saw it. You emasculated him. You tried to anyway. How do you think he felt? Oh, but now you're embarrassed and hurt. No more than what your wife did, right? No more than what your wife did by going on this whole tour talking about your weird sex life and how she got into an entanglement with her son's friend, right? Whatever, man. Oh, now let's talk about let's talk about distasteful, right? So you found the special to be distasteful. So that was more distasteful than you having a ghetto moment on the on the night of the Oscars and getting up on stage and slapping somebody. Well, I guess you thought you were still in West Philadelphia, born and raised, right? Oh, but Chris Rock's special was distasteful. I mean, yo, Chris Rock is from Brooklyn, you know that, right? Chris Rock is from Brooklyn. But he handled himself way better. He handled himself way better than I think most people would have. I think most people would have ran one with you on that stage. But he handled himself better than you did. But you find the special to be distasteful, man. Like, see, that's the thing. That's the whole hypocrisy about it. The whole hypocrisy behind this whole thing. That's what's really frustrating to me. It's like everybody thinks this thing is so one-sided, and it's not. It's not. You know, all of this started from the whole Will and Jada, the whole entanglement thing. That's where all this started from. All this started from that. We all know that Will, listen, I don't condone violence. I don't condone violence against women or anything like that, but the person you should have slapped was Jada, man. And it should have been August Alsina. Jada, because she has a tendency to let these things leak out all the time. And August for having the gall to even get out there and just blurt that out. Because let's be real, August Alsina, man, he was hot for a brief minute, around what? The mid 2010s. He was hot for a minute. And then we didn't hear from him no more because he was dealing with like an illness. I think he had a lot of death in his family that really kind of traumatized him. So we didn't hear from him a minute. Then all of a sudden he just pops out with this whole thing about him having an affair with Jada Pinkett and that Will gave him permission to do it. That's where all this stemmed from. That's where all this started from. And then you allowed Jada to do all these interviews with you about it. You and her on that red table talking about this when nobody really wanted to hear all of that. Y'all didn't need to do that. The best thing that y'all could have did was just kept your mouth shut and made August look like an idiot. Even though what he was saying was true, that was the best thing y'all could have did. But y'all wanted to have all these interviews talking about it constantly. That's the thing. That's where Will Smith he went hard on the wrong person. He slapped the wrong person. And for those of you that keep on being on the whole pro Will and Jada team, those of you that keep trying to say that what he did was right, even now, those of you that are critical of Chris Rock addressing this finally, the thing I find so odd about it, for y'all to be so much in Will Smith's corner about him rightfully slapping Chris Rock for a harmless joke, it didn't even help Will. It didn't make people step back and be like, whoa, we better stop talking about Will Smith, man. Will Smith ain't no joke. You see what he did to Chris Rock? Man, we better leave that man alone. Nobody did that. It just made people make even more fun of Will Smith. It did not help his reputation. He did not gain any respect from doing that. It made him look worse. Listen, he's Will Smith, so he's still going to continue to get movie roles and stuff of that nature. But I really think that slap, it really decreased his respect. A lot of people don't really take Will Smith that serious no more. He's the butt of jokes. Him and Jada. Jada kind of ruined it for all of them. But you know, the reason why a lot of y'all are still jumping on that bandwagon because you're in denial. Because y'all kind of held Will and Jada up to that whole standard of like being the perfect black celebrity couple. That's the thing. When there's been rumors for years about how they got down, which I'm not going to get into, but you've heard it. Everybody's heard all those rumors. But so many of y'all held them up to this whole high standard of them being like the perfect black celebrity couple. Like they exemplify a perfect celebrity marriage. And then, you know, this whole incident kind of showed that that's not what it is. But y'all seem to be delusional and don't want to accept it. So y'all want to attack Chris Rock for addressing something that happened to him. He has every right to address that. He was the one that was humiliated like that. And now Will Smith is getting even more of a taste of how that feels. So he can be embarrassed and hurt. You embarrassed and hurt somebody else that was supposed to be your friend. You know what I'm saying? What you did was very distasteful. You don't think the Oscars were upset that you got up out of your chair to go do that on that night? And then, you know, Chris Rock, he said he ended it with the whole, you know, my parents taught me not to fight in front of white people. I've heard a lot of people try to use that to try to say that Chris Rock was being hypocritical, man. I think that just kind of went way over your heads, man. First of all, he was really saying, because me and my aunt actually talked about this earlier, and she pointed out that when he said that, he was talking about how Chris was talking about how his parents raised them better. But, and I agree with that too. And I also look at it like this too. I also look at it like how you could kind of destruct that, and I may be going a little bit too deep into it, but you could kind of destruct it as Chris Rock cleverly telling Will that you made us look bad in front of white people. that's the way I took it too. I'm looking at it that way. That Chris Rock said, like, you made us look bad in front of all these people that run the Oscars. You made us look bad in front of them. Cause you got up there and did that. I mean, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, man. It's like, come on, man. You get up there and slap this man over a joke that wasn't even, it wasn't even a hurtful joke, man. But, you know, it is what it is, man. I just think that it's very hypocritical of all these people out here that support Will Smith getting up on that stage and slapping Chris Rock, but then they want to throw backlash at Chris Rock for addressing it in his special. That just makes no sense to me, man. But I'm not gonna jump on the bandwagon. You know, I think I can see it for what it is, man. It's like that. I applaud Chris Rock for doing that. You know, we've waited a year. People like me, we've waited a year to really hear what Chris Rock was gonna say, and I bet that was hard for him to try to hold back and wait for this very moment to let that all out. And you know that the title of that special, Selective Outrage, see how clever that is? That was genius, man, because all these people that are being critical and throwing all that backlash at Chris Rock, they're proving his point. Selective outrage. You're being selective because you were fine with Will getting up there and slapping him, but now you want to be outraged at him addressing the situation. And let me tell you something. All these people getting mad because he used the B word and he used the N word. Come on, have you not seen a Chris Rock special before? Chris Rock he is well known for being a raw, uncut comedian. Have you not heard none of his stuff in the 90s? Come on. Get out of here with that, man. And I recently seen a video where Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, he was talking about that joke, the emancipation joke, where Chris said that he watched Emancipation just to see Will get whooped. And now he wanna turn this into this whole thing about slavery and everything. Okay, here's the thing. That was a clever joke. So maybe Willie D got offended, but it was a clever joke and it was edgy, and I thought it was a good joke. I laughed at it. And listen, I don't need no history. He want to do a video giving a whole history lesson about slavery. Listen, that's fine, but listen, man, it was a clever joke. That's all that it is, and that's another thing, man. A lot of people want to take themselves so serious these days when it comes to stuff like this, man. Like, it was a freaking joke, a clever one at that. It is what it is. It was funny. Most people thought it was funny. It is what it is, man. But like I said, man, I just think that it's ridiculous that everybody, well, not everybody, I keep saying everybody, but most of these, like, Will and Jada worshipers or whatever, are wanting to cherry pick that whole situation. And how Will Smith's, like, his publicist, like, I forget what you call those people, the promotion team or whatever, they're trying to get behind this and really kind of shut it down, and it's not working. If anything, it's making the special even more popular. But, you know, I don't want to ramble on too much longer about this. You know, a big shout out to Chris Rock. A lot of people are calling this one of his best specials in a long time. You know, I do plan on, one day that I'm off from work and I have free time, I do plan on watching it on Netflix. Because, like I said earlier, judging by the clips that I seen, to me it kind of felt like, it just reminded me of like that raw and cut Chris Rock from back in the day when I was a kid. That's what it reminded me of. So I do plan on watching it in full. Now, I did hear that he made a joke about Michael Jackson. I don't know about that. I haven't heard the joke. He has been catching some backlash for that, which that might be, I don't know. That might be me using selective outrage too. I don't know, because I'm always somebody that says that comedy, real comedy, raw and cut comedy is no holds bar. But I'll just have to hear it, dude. I just have to hear it to really make my conclusion on it. But shout out to Chris Rock. Kudos for him for addressing this and getting his let back from that slap from last year, man. Just a big shout out to him. But yeah, that's it for this BoomBox talk. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you want to. Hit that bell. And love, peace, and music, y'all. Peace out.